ready for our next session on frugal innovations. Frugal innovation for the masses. That is the topic of the panel discussion. I think our panelists are here. He's the director of IIT Palakkad. We have one more professor on this panel, Professor Siddhartha Panda. He is a professor of chemical engineering and also the coordinator of the National Center of Flexible Electronics, NC Flexi, from IIT Kanpur. His research focuses on chemical sensors for various applications, including healthcare. So we are happy to have him. Is Professor Siddhartha Panda here? Oh, he's here. Oh, hello, sir. Okay. Our fourth panelist is Mr. Nitin Gupta. He's the founder of Sickle Innovations. Sickle Innovations is he's a product designer. He's with a mechanical engineering background, and he's worked at ISRO before. And Sickle Innovation is an agricultural startup. So he has an interesting company as well. And our fifth, but not last but not the least, our moderator, Saumil Majmudar. Sorry, Saumil Majmudar, who's the CEO and MD of Sportz Village. It's a startup trying to ensure that 100 million children get to play sports. I think they've reached a sizable amount of that target, and his aim is to get people who can't play sports to play sports and to learn via sports. So welcome, and over to you.
Thank you for those introductions, and welcome everybody. My job as a moderator to make sure that what they know, and there's a very motley but extremely well-informed research panel, connects to what you folks want. Just as a context in introduction, we have somebody who's been in the top 2% of scientists in India as shortlisted by Stanford for the last 4 years consecutively. We have somebody who's the chief scientist at the Government of India's Innovation Foundation under Department of Science and Technology. We have an entrepreneur who has a thriving startup in agriculture, very appropriately called Sickle Innovations. And we have someone who has won the IBM Invention Award and has also rolled up his sleeves on building a smart haptic watch, which is now about to see commercial realities. It's brilliant. So we have a fantastic variety of people from academia to research to actually scientists who develop products to on the ground. I also want to do a quick audience check. How many of you are working in innovation, funding innovation? Any show of hands? How many of you are working in not frugal innovation, wasteful innovation? 1% at least is there. Everybody else is working. So that's the one point that we're going to talk about. Innovation, frugal innovation. What's the distinction? And that'll be one thing. How many of you are working on innovation for the masses? Nice. And how many of you are working for innovation for the elite? Nobody? For this room? Innovation for this room? Nobody? Okay, that's interesting. So the way we are structuring this is to have 5 minutes of opening remarks by each of the panelists, and then some conversation based on what discussion we've had earlier. And last 10 minutes or so, or 15 minutes of Q&A, and Aditi is going to make sure that we protect that 15 minutes of Q&A. To all the panelists, as I reminded you, if my hand goes up, you have 30 seconds to stop. Yes? So, Prof. Sekhar, if I may start with you, if you can give us your views, given that you have, of course, over the last, as a scientist, you've been a top 2% and have that side of your work, and now you're also director at IIT Palakkad. How do you see frugal innovation for the masses, and what is your thought? Some opening remarks from you.
5 minutes. 5 minutes. Oh, that's good. good morning to good afternoon. We are relate. So I think it's a very good initiative by these organizers, particularly considering the present situation, and also country like ours, developing country, frugal innovative is always needed because it's addressing mass, and we need to reach many people don't have proper food, shelter, and many more. I don't have to explain that. In fact, the first session morning by our keynote speakers and all, very clear. Some of the points they've already given some inputs in this direction. So, in my opinion, it is not new, as all of us know what is known as Jugan, typically some sort of non-conventional way of working, temporary solutions which are there in our Indian system. Hindi word called Jugan is a modification, is typically is I look at is same thing. Yeah, I teach product design course to final year students, and I was in IIT Madras. I have not started teaching in IIT Palakkad because I just taken over last year end only. So I had to spend time to teach. We are having a lot of construction and other things. So administrative things I am doing more involved into that. But when I used to teach this course, product design, all of us know a product design course starts from basically what is need analysis to start with. Any product, why should I do that? There should be a need analysis, then a basic definition, what is to be done, and currently what is the situation, the customer survey, and then the concept development. What way it should be different from that. It can be cost effective, or it can be more efficient, or it is giving a better solution and whatever. The idea here is there is innovation automatically comes when we focus for the need. So all that starts with, my opinion, is the need indirectly makes people to come with any innovation, Frugal, or whatever innovation is innovation. It's good innovation in my opinion, or that's very good to the society. Whatever you take, that innovation addresses a big number, useful for the society, is always a good thing, whether you call Frugal or you call by some other innovation. And today we have seen in the talk also what ISRO is doing, not just Chandrayaan alone, but several fishermen also getting benefit. What else? That is a typical example. The vaccination, what our another speaker told about, our is much cheaper and could address to many patients. That's a good innovation itself, is an example of frugal innovation, I can say. So what I look at is, as I again go back to my subject called the product design, which I taught in addition to my area of vibrations in mechanical engineering. In product design, again, one thing I will tell is the value analysis, value engineering. I think many of you already using it even in industry. Typically, value is equal to function divided by cost. The functionality versus the cost. So the numerator functionality has to be increased qualitatively, and the cost, the denominator, has to be reduced. Automatically numerator increases, denominator decreases, the value will increase. Look at any product, you will have some components which are very useful functionally but cost more or cost less. You have to attack the ones which are very expensive and giving less functionality. I will attack that one. So as a researcher, as you said, I will try to attack those components which are unnecessarily costing. Can I replace with another which is cheaper, and so automatically the value increases, which is typically what is the frugal innovation is for. Now, as IIT faculty or a director or any other institution or R&D or any industries I see here, the duty is we should focus on how to apply in our day-to-day thing this technology, as you said, innovation to the public. Several ways to do whatever opportunity is given to us. Since I am in Kerala now, I am looking at the facilities in around, for example, lot of coconut trees and palm trees, etc. I will try to use coir technology is already going there in a great level. Similarly, I have a lot of water resources in Kerala, so we are trying to develop some hydro technologies, cheaper versions. Kerala government already approached us. In Palakkad in particular, we have a lot of what you call wind energy, because of the Western Ghats are laid out in such a way you get fantastic wind all through, and solar also very good. So these things, so we started one center for excellence, what is called core center of renewable energy, hydrogen, as well as this solar, wind, and so on. So look at your surroundings, rather resources or whatever available around you, and you can always innovate on it. I'll conclude with one more thing we found is the Attapadi, very close to IIT, is a tribal village. They don't have a power. They are wasting their milk products because they can't preserve. And so what we as a group went along with the collector, and we found how to help that. We are now developing drone technology to carry their products to another place where they can sell and do that, because that's also livelihood for them. So look at, you are also doing, when you do the outreach, there is an opportunity to get into innovation, cheaper way, helping the society. So several other things we are doing at IIT Palakkad. I don't want to brand that thing here, but as any institution, we can always do that. IIT Madras has already developed affordable house for that GF, RB, RG models and so on. Several things are there. I think I'll leave it to the others. I'm sorry, I've taken a little more than the time.
Thank you, Professor Sickle. Dr. Vipin, you were the director till recently and now chief scientist at the National Innovation Foundation. And you spoke about, when we spoke about frugality and what you call demand-driven innovation. Just talk to us about that.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, I am thankful to PNIT Network for giving me this opportunity to share my views. Many times it happens that the people, maybe in the institutions or in the society, do not want to live with the problems. They try to address the problem. And many times they used to, do some experimentation and use the local resources. And because of that, the frugality or affordability component is there. Many times it happens that some people, when they saw those sort of technologies, so they are not the technologies, in fact, they are the proof of concepts. But as Professor mentioned, that when it is blended with high science, they can be the cutting edge technologies. Let me give, one good example. Somewhere in Latin America, some people were, boiling the leaves of a plant. And, the laborers, in fact, after coming, from the work, and they were feeling relaxed, in fact. And one scientist just observed that what these guys are doing, in fact, might be it is having some effect. So it is the responsibility of the technology institutions and the science institutions to find out what is the mechanism and what is the mode of action. And they found that the salicylic acid was the component which was giving that anti-inflammatory kind of property. But when somebody started using it, they found that it was causing ulcer in the stomach. Then they treated with acetic acid. Then this salicylic acid is the aspirin, in fact, largest selling drug in the world actually. Can you see the trigger came from the common people, in fact. They might have done lots of experimentation in the laboratories of their lives, but unless it has not been blended with the modern science, it has not reached to the masses. This is not one. Large number of such examples are there. We at National Innovation Foundation used to identify, such innovations from the people. We blend it with high science and try to take to the masses. And because of that, large number of technology have reached. Even the startup of the year in Amazon Sambhav year was the person, in fact, who was dropped out, incubated by us. There are many examples, like in Malaysia, who got the Padma Award. That Padman was our story. So how those people have reached to the masses, it is because the science was blended with that. But it is not, in fact, Saumil mentioned that whether it is going to the masses or it is living to the limited, places. We have to address both the issues, in fact. If in Assam, in Dhimaji, the iron contamination is in the water, and we see that, okay, market is not there, then who will work on those technology? So it is the responsibility of the institutions, it is the responsibility of innovator to develop the technologies, might be for the niche areas. So it is not for the localized or for the masses. Innovations are the innovations, in fact, and if they are good in nature, probably if it is not, helping in generating much money, but definitely it is helping to the humankind. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Vipin. This is very useful. Professor Panda, if I may come to you, you developed this smart haptic watch for the visually challenged, and you spoke to me about you developing a braille kit, if I may, for again visually challenged. In addition to your opening remarks, I'm just curious as to why did you choose this particular, let's say, segment for innovation? Your work of sensors and semiconductors would have opened it up to a larger or many more segments. So do you start with a segment or do you start with innovation, and how does this play out as you actually go down to innovating?
Can I answer?
Please, of course.
This is after my
Yes, of course.
Wish you all a very good afternoon. Thank you, Saumil, for this introduction. I would like to clarify that when I talk of frugal innovation, I'm not limiting my discussions or my thoughts only to those which have been developed at the grassroots level and which perhaps may not have that high degree or high intensity of R&D. Rather, it's including those innovations which have been carried out in organizations, for example, the ISRO, or in companies, but which have been developed under resource-constrained settings. But they have a certain level of this scientific foundation, and that gives them the ability to be scaled and to be used for a larger process. And I'll elaborate on that a little bit more. So based on this, there are 3 points I would like to highlight in these opening remarks. One is the context of frugal innovation, is the Indian context of frugal innovation. Now, frugality is considered culturally to be a virtue in India, and hence this socio-economic context provides a fertile ground for not only development of frugal products and services, but also the adoption. And also, the Indian market is said to be very cost-sensitive, and this underscores the need for companies to innovate so as to meet the customer requirements. Now, there are several enablers for frugal innovation in India, and these advantages include the market structure advantage, the cost advantage, the demand advantage that we have a large population, in-house population, which is underserved. But more critically, that we have a technological advantage. That is, we have good technological infrastructure, and also a large population of trained manpower from the students. And this is specifically where IITs and other education institutes and R&D institutes in general could contribute to the story of frugal innovation in India. Now, the second point I would like to bring is the solutions which are developed under these resource-constrained settings are not limited to the resource-constrained markets or societies. And the examples which we have seen earlier today, whether it's by ISRO, like how it's helping people elsewhere, and how countries across the world, including developed countries, are coming and utilizing the launch facilities of ISRO. And similarly, this affordable excellence of the medical sector in some pockets have resulted in people coming to India for treatment, resulting in what we call the medical tourism. And similarly, there are examples of engineering products which have been designed and developed in India, which are finding market elsewhere. Just to give an example of some of the automotives, and also the specific example would be that ECG, which was developed by GE. The point is, when we talk of frugal innovation, frugal innovation is not simply about lowering the cost to make it more affordable and accessible. It's also lowering the environmental footprint which comes in the process of making these products. Because at the end of the day, we have to also look into the sustainability of making these products. Whatever we call as resource-abundant societies today will no longer be resource-abundant in the years to come. If we go along this not so, what you call it, if you're utilizing these wasteful practices in the process. So, these solutions, these frugal solutions, which were to be developed in resource-constrained settings, have a place also in the developed worlds, because even the developed worlds also have the goals towards this sustainable development, this SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, which have been set by the United Nations. And hence, as was mentioned in the previous panel, can we make in India and make for the world? And that is something where India has a big advantage. And that leads me to the third point. How do we further enhance and strengthen this ecosystem for frugal innovation? And specifically, how can IITs, and expanding this further, how can R&D institutes and other educational institutes play a role in supporting this ecosystem? We already have some success stories. Now, how can we make it even better? There could several ways. Can we have a even further strengthening of the different innovation networks, different groups coming together? Can we have a further strengthening of the industry academic collaborations? And more importantly, how can we enthuse our students? How can we facilitate our students? And how can we train our students to look into this area of frugal innovation? So having said this, Saumil, I'll come to the point which you have asked. Very specifically, to come to the point, Saumil, we have developed a smartwatch and a watch for the visually impaired. And again, it was developed in IIT Kanpur, and we have licensed to a company, and is expected to be launched sometime beginning of next year. And again, we looked into, and when we looked at the design, we went from the very beginning that we had a student who was visually impaired at IIT Kanpur, and that was a starting point, trying to understand what the problems were. And then, when we did the initial designs, we went to a school. There's a blind school in Kanpur, and tested it on them, tried to understand what their problems were. And we incorporated all these things, and even we bought some of the existing solutions out there and compared our solutions with theirs and tried to figure out what are the best practices elsewhere and where the gaps were. I think this is one of the processes by which when we involve the user at the very beginning, and that is something which helped us to develop a product which eventually got a lot of positive feedback from a larger section of the users, and eventually we'll be seeing a market launch sometime soon. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor. Nitin, coming to you, you are a scientist at ISRO, and ISRO is known globally for frugal innovation. And you decided to quit and set up a company which is doing innovation for agriculture. So just talk about, your opening thought, but also I want keen to figure out what caused this shift from ISRO to another venture around agriculture.
Yeah, thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. I would like to congratulate the Pan IIT organizers to bring this important topic to such conference, because generally what my personal experience is, and the reason why I moved was, I find personally it is my feeling that technology is overrated. We talk a lot about technology, but we talk very little about the applications of the technologies and a problem-solving approach, which can actually bring a lot of other solutions, like Professor was talking about. Blind person had to come to IIT for education, so that that IIT group could understand the problem and then solve for it. Imagine if we have a very dedicated approach towards solving those problems, and going to the society, going to the bottom of the pyramid segment and finding out the problems. And then technology is trivial. Imagine so I was working on a mission which was going to go on Mars, and all of a sudden it was discarded because of so many reasons. So what I felt was that all my effort was gone in a second. But yes, I wanted to see that changes, whatever effort we are putting, to see change in somebody's life. And I would like to mention here the frugal innovation, what is very interesting term which has been brought, is highly underrated. You will see there are a lot of things because as it was also mentioned, frugality is in our genes. As an Indian, it is there in our genes. Whatever we do in our lives, the way we are running our businesses, it's all frugal ways. Subconsciously we are doing that. So when we started working on the problems, in my own engineering, my major project was to make an ornithopter. It is a aircraft which flies like a bird, and So it was all, just wanted to do it, but what is the application? The last slide, we had a small slide. Okay, it can be used surveillance and all those things. But, what is the purpose? Like all my 4 years engineering and, if I had a real problem and during my master's, after I was introduced to this beautiful philosophy of design thinking and, how do you solve the problem solving approach. So we worked on cotton harvesting solution, designing a solution with which we can harvest cotton and we can solve somebody's problem. And I'm always so thrilled to share this story. The biggest revenue which come for us is not from the high-end engineering solutions, expensive solutions. They come from very small fruit harvesting devices, weeding devices, and which could have been done many years back. And frankly, we do not even like to call ourselves as a technology company. We believe we are a product design company, and we are okay with that. And I think that we need much more bigger stories in product design approach rather than technology-led approach. And that is what some of the examples I can give you, which is actually which we might not actually able to connect directly. The sachets you see, this is one frugal innovation which was done by one entrepreneur in Tamil Nadu. He wanted to sell shampoos, and even before that, the tea sachets which you see, this is all frugal innovation which was done by companies. And why? Because our consumer, we have, even if I talk about the business point of view, we have a huge market lying. If you cross that, the top 10% of the higher income groups, you go down 90% and you see, imagine the market. So the shampoo company, almost 40 to 50% of their sale is coming from sachets. So imagine, the kind of innovation which has gone and, it is giving the returns. But as I said, it is highly underrated. We don't see that, in our regular meetings or in the conferences. And it is very good that, this topic has been brought up.
This is useful. Dr. Vipin, if I may come to you, this again coming back to this topic of frugal innovation for the masses. When people think about innovation, do they start with a segment saying I'm going to innovate for the masses, then think of innovation, or do they start with innovation and then say I need to be frugal or I have resources? Where does this cycle start? It has to start somewhere and then you kind of get sharper, right?
See, when the starting point is identification of a problem. So sometimes, somewhere, the people struggle with something and they try to address that particular thing. So that problem statement is the first step of innovation. Many times people do have the resources and they try to do the proper experimentation like we used to do in the laboratories. Sometimes they do not have the resources and then they try to find out the ways from here and there. And it is not that the people at grassroots used to do. In lab also the same struggle is there. If you see that the Mars mission, what investment NASA has done, if that is the budget, government will never approve. So we have to find our own ways and do lots of innovations to achieve the target. In 1/3 cost of NASA, we have achieved that mission.
But I have a question for you on the same point. If we had that budget, would we have been as innovative or would we have wasted money?
Sorry?
You said we had 1/3 of the budget and therefore still we gave and we clap for ourselves. This is great. Let's say we did indeed have NASA's budget. Would we have been more innovative?
No, it is not there. In fact, sometimes the necessities. The mother of innovation or mother of invention and also the mother of innovation. So the resources are secondary actually. Resources are secondary, and when the resource constraint is there, then probably either we live or we become more innovative. But whether it is more budget or less budget, in fact, it is our dedication, commitment, intelligence, planning, execution, everything in fact, contribute equally.
Thank you. Professor, if I may come to you, because we've been talking about demand-driven innovation and application-oriented, you are also a scientist, so there is a space for pure science, which starts with innovation for itself and then figures out a demand, right? How does that coexist with this notion of almost applied science, applied innovation, which only starts with a demand?
It is something like a chicken egg and problem sometimes. Yes, sometimes some companies force the customer to use it. It can be other way, right? You will go to the need analysis and do that. It can be either way. See, I develop some technology and I will do it on my own, as you said, without bothering about the market. But finally it comes to that, okay, it's a very good innovation and this can be applied. But somebody else take this technology, this scientist knowledge, whatever you say, and then they will apply somewhere else in an innovative way. That's what. Always the product designs will go with two ways, right? I will develop already a company, I'm very strong, so I develop in novel way and ask the users, come on, you use it, this is better, cheaper. Other way is, as I said, you start from scratch, do the need analysis, define it, come to that solution. Either way possible. As a scientist, that's why in industry, in institutions, we don't encourage only this. Obviously, there are pure scientists, pure mathematicians. We have to acknowledge them, encourage them, and one fine morning, the algorithm that is developed by ex-professor always can be used in some other way. There are persons to use it. You can't discourage them also. Always talk only product. Who will develop the technology, new knowledge. So you cannot do that.
Both coexist.
Saumil, if you still want the reminder for the audience.
How much time do we have left?
We have
What
10
time?
minutes. नहीं, बहुत time नहीं actually, कम time है.
One more session is there.
Yeah. And lunch.
अगर
You have 10 more minutes?
lunch आराम से करना है तो
Sure. Okay. We'll come to the audience after this one. Professor, to you, I want to dig deeper on your choice of the visually challenged, right? It came about because you had somebody in your department who had that challenge, and if for some reason that person was not there, would you have looked at innovation in some other space completely? Is there a lot of serendipity involved in some of the innovations reaching a certain market reality?
Specifically, I have a cousin who is visually impaired. It's something that was there at the back of my mind. And then I got a very good student who also thought that way. Things fell into place. But if you permit me, if I just add to what Mr. Sekhar said. See, just to add, because it goes both ways. Sometimes what we do is we also show a certain capability. This is what we can do, and then we go to different fora and say, this is a problem which we think we are getting it done that way. And what has happened is, like, we have had feedback from the companies, look, I think you can get it done provided you just change your trajectory, and would you be willing to do that? And we have done that. And that also has led to some very successful executions of projects. So it goes both ways. Sometimes we take it all the way, sometimes it comes from there, sometimes we start somewhere midway. Thank you.
I just add that we just started in Palakkad. I'm sorry, I'm referring to Palakkad again. We have just started 2 months sabbatical leave, to the faculty. During the summer break, they can go to industry only, just like sabbatical going to other universities. But they will go only to industry. Then I will give you 2 months leave to explore the problems, which can be, as you said, can be both ways and etc. And then they come back, do the collaboration, take projects like that. That's what we just started.
Thank you. Last question to you, Nitin, before we get to the audience. I want to talk about this controversial word called jugaad, right? Which we think is a great thing. I know many of you feel it's not so great. What's your view on jugaad? Is that innovation? Is that frugal innovation?
There is a lot of gray area, like as we were discussing. Jugaad, in a way, it is good if it is solving somebody's problem locally with local environmental condition, all those situations. But there is a procedure, you can convert that into an innovation. So when the innovation word itself is having a business model embedded into it. So innovation means it has to reach to the masses by any means. Business means does not mean only with a transaction. It has to be adaptable by scale, by masses. Yeah, it has to be scaled up. So jugaad might be good for a particular situation in a local community, in a local area. It can be translated into a frugal innovation by a methodology, but we should not be actually encouraging or celebrating jugaad.
Should we celebrate jugaad?
We should not be celebrating
people who don't agree with you, they'll find you at lunchtime, I'm sure. So I think maybe we have 5 minutes for questions. 1 minute for questions.
We have one question.
One question. Don't make it too long. Any question? Anybody? Looks like the panel has answered everything that anybody wanted to know about frugal innovation process. There's somebody.
I'm Paul Dayanadi. I'm a professor. My question to IIT Kanpur Siddhartha. You are telling that you are developing some sensors for chemical engineering. As a part of your conversation, I came to know. I just want to know now AI has been made as a core subject in all fields of engineering. And already I had initiated when I was a professor in Bombay to set up the AI lab for all fields. So do you have any development on the chemical engineering sensors which can be deployed in the AI for lab setup, which will give innovation to the students? That is my question to you. Because we have now set up an AI lab which is common to all schools in College of Engineering India. Now I moved from Bombay to Chennai. So do you have any innovative sensors that you have developed for chemical engineering which can be used in the AI lab, which will give innovation to the students, where more result-oriented things can come out? My question is clear.
To me, yes, we have developed sensors, and let me take a very specific example of gas sensors. And we are also adding smartness to the sensors by adding algorithms. But this is something which in a few months we'll be deploying it for field trials, because that has to go through the technological validation, and then that will be we are jointly developing the company. So expected if that succeeds, they'll take it up. Once we have a successful deployment and once all the sensitive issues associated with technology transfer are done, then we will think of utilizing that learning in the classes.
Great. I'm told we're out of time. Thank you, gentlemen, for a wonderful discussion.